Hi, you're looking at a position that came up in a match between Matt Cohn-Geyer and Falafel, and the two of them disagreed on what was the best play. Now we're talking here about two of the best players in the world, both giants. I think Falafel's currently number one. I think Matt is five, or I know he's in the top five in the world. I think he is five, or maybe four. Have to check it. But they're both great players, and they both completely disagreed on the cube action here. Red on roll cube action. It was set up as a money game, although it probably came up in a match. So, what do you think is the cube action here? Should red double, and if red double, should white take or drop? These positions are not simple. And over the board, I would be very tempted to double this because I might get a drop, but it really isn't a double. Let's take a look. It's a mistake to double. Do you lose your market a lot? You sure do. When you use Woolsey's law and you ask yourself if your opponent's taking, you should come to the conclusion that your opponent is taking here, and you do lose your market quite a bit. For example, if you just rolled a 6 and you played it correctly, you'd lose your market. But that's the other problem. Playing this correctly is not the easiest thing in the world. Let's go forward a little bit. Let's pretend you don't double, and let's pretend you roll a 6-2. How do you play it? The 2's pretty easy. You come up. You got to get out of there. You're behind a 5 prime. Do you come out? Do you cover? Okay, you cover. You cover with every 6, and then you've probably lost your market if white doesn't enter. Let's find out. First of all, I'm going to hit Control C. That saves the original position. Then I'm going to look at 6-2, and I'm pretty sure you've lost your market here. Let's see if red's on roll now. Yeah, it's a pass, big pass. What if white had come in with one checker? Bear, take. Real close. Okay, so you do lose your market with all 6s, it looks like. Just about every 6 you're going to lose your market, except double 6, which could be a problem for you. Here's the original position. I'm not sure of the original position. I'm just going to mess up this board and hit Control V. That's why I hit the Control C. Control V, paste the position back in. Nice little trick. By the way, I can open another version of Extreme Gammon and hit Control V, and it'll open up the position there as well. Now, what would make this a double? Well, the key to white's game is not only this blot, it's the difficulty of red jumping a 5 prime. If red were here, now red's got a good solid double. Is it still a take? Yes. Whoops, I got to put it on double action. Pretty solid take. What if red had a checker sprung? Pretty solid drop. 71% here to drop, just very few wins. So what we're seeing here is that the key feature of this position, or certainly one of the key features, is white having a 5 prime and red having 2 checkers behind it where it needs to escape. It takes an average of about 6 rolls for this checker to get from here to here, for it to roll a 2 and come up and then roll a 6. 6 rolls is a long time. A lot of things can happen in 6 rolls. If red rolls double 4s, double 5s along the way, rolls a bunch of 5s and 4s and doesn't get this checker out, and he could crash. So even if white gets closed out, he still has a game until red gets these checkers out. These prime versus prime plays are tricky. Now, if Matt Cohn-Geyer and Falafel don't agree on what's necessarily right here and aren't quite sure, you can see why the rest of us might have a little confusion as well. These things take study, and intuition isn't going to cut it in backgammon. Study, reference positions, practice putting these positions differently. By the way, here's something that you'll find an interesting feature. Do you think this changes the position much? Is this better or worse for red? It's much better for red. Why is it much better? He's got more time now to get out. his pip count is higher. But that's not the key feature. The key feature is from this position, he has 5s to cover and 6s to get out. In the previous position, he needed 6s to get out and 6s to cover. The duplication factor is a major factor. This change should make it a double. I would think it's a double. Let's see. I know he's improved. Yeah, it's become a double because now he's got he isn't duplicated. Duplication, how many rolls you have that work and how many rolls you have that don't work on your next roll and on your opponent's next roll is one of the major keys to understanding cube action and checker play. And there is no fast shortcut. You have to just in your mind go through the rolls. Unfortunately, there's 36 rolls, but I learned a trick. I use variance reduction. I ignore the rolls that don't matter. I didn't care about how we played 2-3 and 2-4 and 4-1. All I cared about is what happens with 6s and 5s. Those are the key numbers here on this next roll. 2s are also pretty key. 2s are pretty important because red really needs a 2 here. And then on white's next roll, all I care about are 1s and 2s. 2s if he doesn't cover, and 1s if he does. What happens with those? And what's the likelihood of those being rolled? And that's part of what gives white a take here. He could get lucky, and red doesn't cover, and he rolls a 2. Or even if red covers, he might roll a couple of 1s in time to salvage this game. But again, this 5' is a real key to the play. So understanding the original position, I'll hit Control V, was gained by moving checkers and by playing around with it. And in the old days, it was gained with long rollouts, but instantly I can see how much different or better the game is. This is no different than if the checker's on the 24. This didn't change a thing. This got to still be no double. As a matter of fact, this may be even a little bit worse for red because there are fewer numbers that come up now. He has to have 1s. In the previous case, he could come up with 1s or double 2. So it's still no double. That didn't change a thing. But coming up to the edge, having a checker out, unduplicating 6s, bringing one checker in, all those things change the game tremendously and change your cube action. Hope you found this interesting. I am fascinated with prime versus prime and priming positions and back game positions. They are the most complex and the most fun to play with and understand. It's like a really fun puzzle to unfold and play with. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thanks. Bye.